speaking of this, Dallas Brody, you have been boldly speaking to this issue in many ways. You've been freed to do so from the BC Conservatives. And your party, One BC Party, is coming out with a documentary. I believe I'm in it, unless I got cut. I don't know.
Are. Yes,
Okay.
you are.
All right. And so I think we have a clip here. It's called Making a Killing, a One BC documentary film, and it is about what you call the reconciliation industry. Let's just play that clip.
It's not the white guys causing financial harm to us Aboriginal people. It's our own chief and council. These are big bucks. We're talking 100, 150 million per band. And where you have a chief and council arbitrarily deciding that you're only gonna get $30,000 each. It's basically like a 20% disbursement, 80% goes to chief and council to do as they please. Now, typically they put it into a trust fund, but there are court cases, trust money has gone missing. So they turn 18, they go to the band office, thinking they're gonna have a $50,000 check, only to find like, hey, we can't find your check, we don't have it here. There is no money in the trust.
So the trusts are being broken.
In more ways than one, the trust is broken. So it's not the white guys.
That piece right there, kudos to you for finding someone, because I have these conversations many times with members behind the scenes, and they are terrified of going on record. So I'm really looking forward to this documentary. Tell us when and where people can see it, and then tell us why you felt the need to go out and make this happen, your party.
Well, let's start with that first. Why did we feel the need? We were being told by constitutional experts and people who are advising even the former Conservative Party that the problem we're facing in British Columbia is that people don't understand the magnitude of what's going on. They are not aware of how far this agenda has traveled down the tracks and how deeply it's impacting everything in British Columbia. So a lot of people in British Columbia still don't even know what UNDRIP and DRIPA are.
Mm-hmm.
And for people listening right now, UNDRIP is the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and DRIPA is the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act. So UNDRIP was created by the United Nations, and then British Columbia, after the claim of the 215 bodies at Kamloops, Canada got its genocide designation, and then UNDRIP was brought into Canada and adopted as legislation federally. And then BC decided as a sole province in Canada to embed it into everything in our province. So we are every piece of legislation in BC has to be brought into alignment with UNDRIP.
Mm-hmm.
And this is extremely serious stuff. I don't know if you want me to go into that, but so we felt that this documentary, because as I was going through this process, and of course I started getting letters from people once I had been expelled from the party on this issue, letters flooded into me saying, you need to know what's going on here. I need to tell you this. Even from Indigenous people saying, I need to speak to you. I need to tell you. And it was like all of this river started flowing to my door. And I was meeting with our team that was forming at the time. And I said, you know what? We should do a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
We should do a documentary sort of along the lines of what Aaron Gunn worked on for so long. The Vancouver is dying one, Seattle is dying. Remember those videos that just so many people learned about what was going on in Seattle from these incredible documentaries. And this is sort of what we're doing here. BC is dying.
Mm-hmm.
BC is dying, and it's dying because we're being strangled to death by what the government is doing here. And this is not the fault of your average First Nations person. This is a huge agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be clear on that. And none of this is helping the average Native person in British Columbia. This has become a juggernaut, a boondoggle of money. We're talking transfers of land, money, and power to a degree that I don't think we've ever seen in this country before, or any country. There's nothing like it. And there's nothing stopping it, and you're not allowed to speak out against it, or you're called racist and denialist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say, call me what you want. It doesn't matter to me anymore. I know my heart. I know what I'm doing here. People need to understand what this means for our province and our country. So this documentary, we've got about 4 teasers out now. They're really exciting. We interviewed some amazing people who have also been hurt deeply by standing up in the past, traumatized by what was done to them, losing their jobs, terrible stuff. And you can see that was Rob Louie who was speaking there. He's from a band out in the Kootenays. He has been, he's a lawyer. He's been through his own recovery difficulties. He's an amazing man, and he's taken cases for many band members who have actually been cheated by their own chief and council and lost everything they had at the hands of their own chief and council, who are supposed to be taking care of them. And so he's a brave man too. And this show is filled with brave people, and honest people, and people who care, and they're not mean people, they're good people. And they're standing up for all British Columbians, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. And so it will be coming out we're hoping for second week of October. The editing is almost done. We're hoping to hold to 60 minutes. We had 40 hours of film. Yeah. And I think some mini docs will come out of this afterwards. Like if you'd like to see the full interview with Drea Humphrey, you can see this and we'll publish that. Or if you'd like to see the full interview with Rob Louie. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I, for one, can't wait. You mentioned UNDRIP. I know Odessa and I have been reporting on UNDRIP for years, but it needs way more attention. Canadians, especially British Columbians, who I feel like we're a test for so many things to come for the whole nation, are starting to see some of that unfold. I did a recent story with Okanagan Falls, a small unincorporated town that decides to incorporate and suddenly gets slammed with UNDRIP being infused in what now their little municipality is going to look like. Immediately, they were told that the neighboring First Nation, well, now they're going to want to change the name. It's not going to be Okanagan Falls anymore. They might change your streets. And by the way, if you want to develop anything, you need to run it by the First Nations first, and you're going to have to pay for Indigenous Advisory Board at your own expense. And they're going, what the heck? We didn't even know this before we voted, because people don't know about UNDRIP. So this is something British Columbians desperately need to pay attention to. We've seen land transfers happening. We're seeing non-Indigenous Canadians being kicked out of public places. We have a one-click email. British Columbia was the first jurisdiction in the entire world out of, I only believe, 3. Canada's the second jurisdiction, by the way, to take that UN aspirational framework and incorporate it, as Dallas Brody mentioned, as aspirational law. But we do have a website called stopundrip.com where I've done a video explaining it in a little bit more detail. And we do have a one-click email where you can just in a matter of seconds take some steps to try to push back on this. Again, that's stopundrip.com. Please share that. Now, Odessa, I'm going to go to you and talk about something that you recently shed light on that kind of relates. There's so many issues when we look at this, but you pointed out something many probably don't know in British Columbia is that the city of Victoria, if we can show that website there, has something called a reconciliation contribution fund. Okay, so it looks like they started this fund in 2022. They take tax dollars to pay for the fund, but you're calling it an Indigenous tax that Canadians are being encouraged to pay. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the reason I call it, it's two things. I call it the white guilt tax, or the newcomer forever tax. And that's because in conjunction with this Victoria.ca city saying, we will be suggesting this on your property tax notice that tells you what you owe in government property tax. Right there, they're going to have the suggestion for now of the percent you should be paying because you're either an awful white person or a forever newcomer, no matter how long you've been here. Because, you know, so basically right now with Victoria, the reason I'm using all this diverse language is Victoria is just saying property owners. But in conjunction with that, a website was put out a few years ago, I believe, maybe a couple of years ago. And I found out through the most bizarre way that local people on the south part of Vancouver Island are feeling more and more pressured with this whole reciprocitytrust.ca, where they are saying that we are uninvited guests, and for 150 years, we've been here uninvited. So they are asking that renters property owners and businesses all start paying into this fund every year, and they're telling you what percentage that you should be paying based on whether you're a poor renter or a rich landowner and everything in between, or if you're a business, or if you even plan on throwing an event, that because we're all horrible people and that they were there first, they want this tax. And you know what they're doing, which is so disgusting and Marxist? They are offering people who do take part in this once a year funding guilt tax that you get a special sticker or more for your house that you put on your house, your business, kind of like the I've been vaccinated or the Pride flag.
Oh my gosh.
Your house gets a sticker and your neighbor's doesn't. And if you want to see who is and is not participating in this from this reciprocity,
Right, of course.
you can go find on a map who's participating.
Oh, for
and they're
goodness
so
sake.
excited because it's growing and they're setting it up everywhere. So do the right thing, pay the Indigenous because you're an awful white person or an awful immigrant that's been here for 75 years.
I was trying to find the link. It's reciprocity. Oh, I'm ashamed to say I don't really know that word, but .ca if we can find it and pull it up. You're so right. It has a map on it. So you can see who the good allies are, and then, go set fire to the other ones, like you're setting fire to the churches. I don't know. Like, this is madness. This is absolutely insane what we are talking about here. Now, to be clear, the city isn't forcing people, right?
Not yet.
To pay that. Not yet. But it's coming on people's sort of bills for their property tax, right?
Yes, the suggestion and my advice to BC, and this includes me too, is whether you're independent, BC Conservative, one BC, by the time there's another election, we better get our shite together, because my belief is if the NDP wins again by something that might be deemed a landslide, which I doubt, but I truly think this will be mandatory.
Wow.
We'll get our ducks in the row.
It will be.
Yeah, if people keep, reciting these land acknowledgement mantras that they've been working on us, especially the younger generation, of course it will. It's being drilled into people's heads that you don't belong, you don't land, this isn't your land. We even have the BC NDP MLA, you might know her name, I forget it right now, Rahoney or something, out of Burnaby.
Yes, Aurora,
Yes.
Rohini?
Rohini,
Aurora,
I think.
Yes.
Something like that. She's the MLA in Burnaby, and she went up there. She's East Indian, and she went up in the legislature saying that we're all settlers and colonizers, and how proud she is to call herself this. I mean, this is insane. David Menzies, again, when you're looking at what's happening in British Columbia, what is going through your head when you're hearing about the reconciliation industry and this pressure to make non-Indigenous people feel like they're colonizers and they'll never be anything else?
Oh, Drea, I'm still absolutely staggered by Odessa's anecdote there about these virtue signaling stickers. If you're if you're approved, you get one. And if you're not approved, you don't get one. And I guess presumably you're supposed to be shunned. And yet we live in a country we can't find out, unlike the US in many jurisdictions there, where a convicted pedophile lives. I think they will give the postal code, which is meaningless given how many hundreds or even thousands of residents. But when it comes to showing who is, approved for, sanitized for your approval, if you will, by some woke Marxist regime, that's okay. And hey, Toronto Rebel News fans, listen up. Rebel News is celebrating 10 years of fearless journalism with our 10th birthday bash, and you're invited to join us. Last week, hundreds of Rebel fans packed our Calgary party for an unforgettable night of music, food, and fun. Now it's Toronto's turn. Join us on Thursday, October 16th at 6 p.m. near Black Creek and Lawrence for a night you will not forget. Expect a lively evening with Rebel News journalists and crew, past and present, cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, and of course, a birthday cake.
Happy birthday, Rebel. Happy That's what we're talking about there.